Refeeding syndrome is far worse. It's worse to eat like this following a competition than it would be to go on a drug-taking bender like Togi. Togi ended up in the hospital. Coach Greg, and it's all fun and gains until you end up in the hospital about to have a heart attack. And I'm talking about competing in bodybuilding competitions. Will Tennyson, he has to watch out. It's very dangerous. You need to know what you're doing. Case in point, look what happens after this man competes in his first bodybuilding competition. And so he's up 18 pounds in 3 days. This is very common after a bodybuilding competition. It's a heck of a lot better than Larry Wheels, who was up 50 plus pounds. But just because it's normal doesn't mean that it's good. And if you have pitting edema to this extent, you need to go to the hospital. If you go to the hospital looking like this, they're not going to let you leave. And I've seen this amongst many competitors in the past. Just had Johnny Shreve in an interview the other day. We spoke about this. The time that he was going to compete, but he backed out. He literally had this. Every time he went on a flight and he was traveling, competing, this is the kind of swelling that he had. He's thinking, it's no big deal. I'm a bodybuilder. It is a big deal. And so clearly, if your sock line is causing an indentation to that extent, you have a grade 1 edema. This is not good. But when you're able to put your finger inside that deep, damn! And when you pull it out, it stays indented, it's a grade 3. This is very serious. I've seen this in the past from David Goggins after running further than last time. And so anyone who's doing this, it's not a point to brag. This is bad. It's unhealthy.
Nah, this can't. No. Nah, you gotta take me home.
It's kind of like looking at your stock market every morning when the stocks keep crashing. You're thinking, no, you can't stop. Or perhaps it's like Togi. Every time he's gambling.
Oh my God, this is gonna cause me like an
Perhaps you should learn. Don't do what you did the previous day. If you're eating on a bulk, following dieting for competition, you don't just keep eating, because you're going to continue to go up. This is what not to do following a competition. Well, it's very simple. You just don't go and eat everything that you want. What happens is people for 3, 4, maybe even up to 6 months are dieting down for competition. Will Tennyson, he dieted down for 200 days. And following the competition, people are thinking, I'm going to eat everything I did without for the past several months. And they do it in a matter of days. This is exactly what you shouldn't do following a competition. And so you just can't do this. You're thinking, oh, this is so much fun. How fun is it when you're admitted into hospital? Add to this the fact that many times when you compete, you've actually been taking diuretics or you've probably dehydrated your body. You've done the lowest calories you've had in years, perhaps in your entire life. And so what happens is it's known as refeeding syndrome. Just so that this really hits home, if you had 2 individuals, one is on a bender, perhaps they're doing drugs every single day for a week. The other is experiencing refeeding syndrome. Refeeding syndrome is far worse. It's worse to eat like this following a competition than it would be to go on a drug-taking bender like Togi. And remember, Togi ended up in the hospital. This man also likely to end up in hospital, and this is actually worse. And so just so you know what refeeding syndrome is, it's when you start refeeding, aka eating more calories, following perhaps a diet such as this, having suffered from an ED that rhymes with Rexic, you know what I'm talking about. And so it places extra strain on the heart. This actually is a disease with 3 main components. And so the first component arises from a massive spike in insulin, resulting in many of the electrolytes shuttling into your body's cells. And so what happens is extra potassium goes inside the cell, causing less potassium to be outside the cell, and this is known as hypokalemia. Very, very dangerous. This can result in a fatal arrhythmia where your heart can actually stop. And if you are fortunate enough to not experience this fatal arrhythmia, you may experience your body's paralysis. You're literally falling down. You've seen guys at the end of a Ironman marathon competition where they're falling down. They don't know where they are. They're crawling all over the place. Or, for example, that guy who ran 24 hours on a treadmill, 160 plus miles. Following the event, he blacked out, he passed out multiple times, he couldn't stand up. Very, very dangerous. This spike in insulin also decreases phosphate in the blood, which decreases ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the fuel for your muscles, which, remember, which is your most important muscle? It's the heart, of course it's the heart. And if you don't have fuel for the heart, what happens? It can't beat, and it shuts down, and you die. And so this is known as hypophosphatemia. And so it's not as complicated as you think. Hypo means less of, like hypoglycemic, less sugar, or hypotonic, or less of. Hyper is more, like think of it, you're hyper, you have more energy. And so hypophosphate, less phosphate, and emia in blood. So you got 3 words back to back. And so it's kind of like speaking a sandwich. Put it all together. 5-6 Brown Eyes cookbook, which you can get with code Greg for 15% off. Click the link in the description. Also, you can get Turk Builder Max, which you know and love, but probably sold out. So get to the website and click to get notified. There's an SMS, which I've recently realized is something about a text message, and you get notified as a VIP. You're a very immense penis, very important person. You can get it right away. It's going to go to your phone, and you buy it before it sells out. Last drop sold out in under 5.5 hours, and also use code Greg for 15% off there. And back to this episode. And so the third component is that in this situation, you're in a hypermetabolic state, which depletes your vitamin B1 stores. Your body needs this to convert the extra glucose into energy. And so what happens is your brain is now starved of having nutrients, and it can die. And this is known as Wernicke's encephalopathy. I got that on the first take. And so this is known as Wernicke's encephalopathy. And so this is known as Wernicke's encephalopathy. And this is known as Wernicke's encephalopathy. Did I say it wrong? And this is known as Wernicke's encephalopathy. And so this can cause permanent damage to your brain that forms memories. It's not what you want. And this is all from binging after your show. Who would have thunk it? And so the end result, you'll have a very difficult time understanding speech. You'll be using a word salad. You'll be saying a bunch of gibberish. You won't know what you're talking about. And so please don't do this. Remember, it doesn't just happen after you're wreck sick. It happens following a show. If you starve yourself for too long and you immediately refeed to this extent, this is what you may be in for. And so I'm reading, I just ate 9 tacos. I think I'm actually cut off for good. I weighed myself. I'm 211. How? I was just 198. Well, from drinking a lot of water and eating a lot of food. And so bro's response, definitely hit the sauna, crap load of water retention. And so the solution here, it's not the sauna, it's not just to do cardio, it's to go to the hospital where they will give you a diuretic. If you go to the hospital, most likely they're going to give you aldactone. They perhaps could give you hydrochlorothiazide with triamterene, not without. Triamterene would be potassium sparing. And in case you're watching this and you're a contest prep coach, don't give them Lasix. This is even worse. It's not potassium sparing. And so you got to be careful. This is not the time to just say, oh, I can just wing it. I'll just ask my coach. You need to go to the doctor. I am not a doctor. And so what's happening, I'm going to explain in your blood vessels using this little balloon. So you're drinking a lot of fluid, you're eating a lot of food. And so your body is getting bigger. There's way more stuff going on. You have a lot more fluid. And so you're increasing your plasma volume. Instead of perhaps having 6 liters of blood, you now have 7. And this is therefore increasing the amount of fluid that's getting to the heart. You have an increased stroke volume. With each beat, you're going to get even more blood, and your body can only handle so much. And so some of this fluid, it's eventually going to leak out. Now, remember, there's gravity. Gravity is pulling this fluid down towards the floor. That is why you see the swelling in your ankles, in your shins, and so on. You're not going to see the swelling up top. It's going down. And so the more this goes on, the more swelling you're going to see. You perhaps will first see it in your ankles, and you'll begin to see it rolling up your legs. If it continues to go even higher, that's saying just how bad it actually is. Now, another thing of which you can't see, remember this is something that's happening in silence, is fluid buildup in your lungs. Some of this fluid in your vascular system, it's leaking out. You're seeing it under your skin and your shins and so on, but you're not seeing it inside of your lungs. This is making it more difficult to breathe. You're having a very difficult time exchanging oxygen and so on. And so you remember when Larry Wheels gained over 50 pounds, he was experiencing a much more difficult time breathing. And this gentleman, he doesn't seem to be experiencing labored breathing, and so it in fact could get worse. Imagine this is your heart, and it's going to be filled with preload of not what the load that you're thinking about. We're talking about water, plasma, and so on. And so check this out. A little bit of a preload, and so when it's released, it squirts out. Makes sense. But under this situation, larger preload, more forceful air expulsion. Consider this. This balloon can only handle so much stress. If I keep stretching it out further than last time, it's going to eventually get looser. Just ask your girlfriend after having a kid. Sorry, I had to go there. These two balloons were the exact same size when I started. Now, unfortunately, one didn't get bigger from taking Turk Builder Max. This is what happened with the blue lobsters. This blue lobster was on Turk Builder Max, and this one was not. They were literally brother and sister. They were the exact same size. Turk Builder Max came in. I wish I could say that's what happened to the balloon, and I wish I could say that's happened to your girlfriend. But no, she's been sleeping around. What did he say? And so after she's been ran through one too many times, eventually it can't go back to original size. I'm sorry. It's the truth. I'm speaking from experience. And so Mr. Blue Balloon, Globo Azul, as we say in Spanish, this one is in heart failure. Look how much bigger it is. I only blew it a few times.
That's what she said.
Now that this is in failure, the hydrostatic pressure inside of the vasculature, it's just too much. And so the plasma, the water, it's going to now leak out. This is not just something cool. It's not like some sunburn that you got and you're like, oh, I'll rub on some aloe vera. No big deal. This is serious. You should be going to the hospital. And remember, if you continue to do this every single show, perhaps you do competition after competition after competition, eventually this will add up. Guys need to stop doing this. You don't understand the amount of stress you're putting on your body by rebounding super hard in 48 hours. That's the reason I made this video. I was able to rid of it all, luckily, back down to 3 pounds above stage weight. But if I didn't catch it, this could have been bad. I gained 35 pounds in a week after one of my shows. Best donuts, cookies, and wings I've ever had. And see, that is the problem. This is glorifying it. This would be no different than saying, you know what? You shouldn't sniff creatine, inject certain drugs and so on for a week straight. It's not healthy. And then somebody saying, oh yeah, well, I did that and it was the best week I ever had. Would you actually recommend that they say that? And remember, this is more dangerous than abusing drugs. And so stop already. Stop with the bragging. Oh, I gained 20 pounds in a day after my show. I ate 10,000 calories, 20,000 calories. Why are you bragging about how close to death you actually came? I'm realistically still going to do this. Up my water, throw in some digestive enzymes, then get right back on track after. No, this is stupid. You're a moron. You know what that means? You probably don't because you're a moron. Don't do this. Oh, that's great. Oh, you're lucky you didn't die last time. Oh, let's just do it again. Do you know how stupid that sounds? And so for those of you who aren't already in this turned up stage where you should now be going to the hospital, and so if you're watching this video right now and this is happening to you, you go to the hospital. You're not going to go to the sauna. You're not going to just say, oh, I'll just sweat it out. You're going to go to the hospital and they're going to treat you because you don't want to die. Before you get to that point, right after the show, this is what you want to do. And so what the recommendation suggests is this. Each day you can add up to 10 to 20 calories per kilogram of body weight. And so Will, about 175 pounds, it's about 80 kilograms. He can then add 800 up to a max of 1,600 calories above what he's currently eating. And so remember, he's eating just under 2,000 calories a day. And so the maximum amount of calories you should be eating is 28 to 3,600 calories. And so the day after this, yet again, you can again add 10 to 20 calories per kilogram of body weight. And so it's a gradual increase. And so in Will's example, if he's eating 2,000 calories per day, he perhaps can go up to 3,000 the next day. The day after that, he could go up to 4. The day after that, he could go up to 5. But what he doesn't want to do is go up to 10 right away. That's what most people are doing. The first day, they're going crazy. And it's understandable. Your ghrelin hormones are high. You've finally cut out your diet and you're thinking, I want to gain back all the weight as fast as humanly possible. Big mistake. And what can happen is exactly as you've seen here. You need to be careful. And I've often said this message and people, they don't believe me until they actually do it. I say the hardest part of the diet is the day following the show. After the show is over, there's no reason to diet. You're not getting up on stage in your bikini and so on. And so why bother? You just eat. And once the floodgates open, once you allow yourself to have that highly palatable food, sugars, fats, and so on, it's very hard to shut them. And so you start eating your donuts, your candies, your crumble, and so on, and you don't stop. And before you know it, it's a couple of days later, and you've already consumed 20,000 calories. Your weight is up perhaps 15, 25, or even more pounds than that. Limit yourself. Slowly add more calories. And once you've allowed your body to get back to normal, you can then perhaps eat in a 500 to at most 1,000 calorie surplus. By doing that, you'll gain at most 1 to 2 pounds of fat a week. Any more than that, do you really think this is beneficial? To get fat as fast as possible? Remember, you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to feel fat. I'm just leveling with you. 25 to 50% of people involved in this sport end up having an ED. And I'm not talking about the downstairs. But if I were talking about the downstairs and you were experiencing ED, pick up harder than last time, code Greg 15% off. And following this competition, it's a good recommendation to consume 100 milligrams of thiamine each and every day. Another thing is following the competition, don't go back to drinking 2 4-gallon jugs of water a day. Many people, they do that. They think, okay, the show's over. I'm now going to go back to drinking extremely high amounts of water. This is a mistake. It's too much. Your body oftentimes will hoard onto this water. You're almost like a camel. And so you're drinking water, it's not going anywhere. You're up 20, then it's 30. The more you drink water, if you're already up 20 pounds, why are you drinking more? Yeah, you're thirsty because you're consuming so much salt and so on from eating those burgers, fries, and so on. You got to lay off of this. Stop drinking the water. If your weight is already up 15 or 20 pounds, just stop. I had a client one time, and I remember he gained close to 20 pounds the first week following a competition. And he says, oh, it's your fault. Really? I'm the one that consumed 20 pounds? Did I tell you to consume 20 pounds of food, fluid, and so on? He says, no, I didn't. I only drank 1 liter water. It's not possible. I'm like, well, then you consumed 18 pounds of food. Because to gain 20 pounds, you need to consume 20 pounds of something. It needs to go down your mouth. You didn't sit in the bathtub and absorb 20 pounds of water. And so if you're up 20 pounds went down the hatch. And so if you're looking for a coach, I've drastically reduced my prices. We just had our first call the other day, had 12 of my clients on a FaceTime call where we were sharing, talking, and planning and so on. And so if you're interested in being coached by Coach Greg and my team, including blood work, training, diet, check-ins, everything, click the link in description and apply today. And if you have no money, don't forget, still offer the free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages and it's free. Did I mention it's free? And so if you're interested in that, head to the website. Of course, you want to get the Turk Builder Max, code Greg, 15% off, as well as GO2 Max, the Seco bars, everything. Head to the website. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like this video if you liked it. Of course, watch one of those 2 bloops. And until next time, I am out.